Hello, my name is Erica McCracken, your forgiveness facilitator. And notice I didn't say expert or guru because I help people with outcomes. And I'm here to help you with letting your future just burn into something great, letting all the negativity go, and really just igniting something so fantastic and so amazing. So let's start with step one. I told you there's 7 steps to this process and we are on step 1. And step 1 is recognizing your need to forgive. Now I know it sounds simple, like yeah, I know exactly what he or she did. I know I'm ready, but let's take it back for a second. And I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about. For me, when I was going through so much heartbreak and heartache, I thought that the person that I needed to forgive was whoever I was dating at the time who broke my heart. I thought it was them. I thought I knew what it was, who it was, what they did, and I realized that that was not the case. After speaking with the counselor and just asking questions, they informed me or shed light that it wasn't actually the person that I was dating that I needed to forgive. It was actually my father. And I'm asking you this question. When you think about that person that you need to forgive, because we already recognize that we need to forgive, go back through the history, unpack it, unload it. Don't just assume that you know. Really go back to your history, go back to your past, go back to your childhood, because usually that's where a lot of things start and we don't like to admit it, and sometimes it's too painful to even go back there. But I need you to do that because I want you, this is one of the most important steps. That's why it's step number 1, and it's going to actually shed light and lead you down the path that you should go down. But if you don't know who you need to forgive and you just are thinking it's this person and that person when it's actually something and someone bigger, then you're just going to get lost in the sauce. Lost in the sauce. And I want you to actually go through these steps properly. I want you to forgive. I want you to forgive for good, and I want you to ignite that future. But in order to do that, you have to understand, you have to identify specifically who you need to forgive. And like I said, I know it seems simple. Yeah, I know who it is, but it's not always as simple as it seems, because oftentimes we don't go back as far as we need to, or we don't go through all the layers that we should go through, right? We think that we know what it is, but if we knew exactly who it is and what it was, then you wouldn't probably be here listening to me at this moment, right? So I want you to take out a sheet of paper, or whether you take out a recorder, whatever it is that you need to do, I want you to actually go back. Think about your heartbreak, your heartache, your dysfunction, whatever it is, and I want you to unpack it. And I want you to start with childhood. Start with your immediate family unit, because that's where love, that's where trust, that's where those things start. It doesn't start when you're 19 and you're in college or school or in high school, whatever the case is. It starts at home. And sometimes, and oftentimes actually, when that is not taken care of, or you're not instructed properly, or people make mistakes, you know, things happen and we just kind of dismiss it, right? Or we kind of ignore it, or it's too hard. And I don't want you to do that here. I want you to really sit down, talk about, unpack your childhood. I want to give you an illustration of how important this is. During my first speaking engagement, I talked about choosing to live and about the choices that we make in life, and how there's some things that we don't have any control over, but the things that we do, we really need to think about it. We need to choose to live. We need to choose to overcome, and we need to choose to forgive. So there was a young woman there, or actually an older woman there, and when I saw her, I just felt like the world had been weighing on her. She looked, man, she just didn't look good. She didn't have any teeth. She looked like she had the world on her shoulders and she had been through so much. And as I talked, I saw that her eyes began to kind of light up, and then tears began to stroll down her cheeks. And I think a lot of it was because of an awareness and an awakening of actually having the ability to choose. And after everything was over, she came and spoke to me about just how hard her life had been and how she had all this resentment towards her mother. Right? So she was kind of all over the place, and she used a lot of this to pretty much, I don't want to say make an excuse, but to talk about or to confirm why her life was the way it was. And as I spoke, she recognized that sometimes people make choices, and while they're not the best, they do the absolute best that they can. And she actually learned to forgive her mother in that moment. I heard a few months later that she had gotten teeth back, and we know how important teeth are, but she got new teeth. She chose to live. But I think sometimes you think that you know who you should be blaming, and in that moment she recognized that the blame wasn't necessarily on her mother for disowning her, because her mother wanted to keep her safe. And she knew that if her father found out, that she probably, unfortunately, wouldn't be here. She would have been killed or harmed in some way. So she did the absolute best that she could. But she had to recognize the choice and whose choice it was. And she had to recognize, who do I need to forgive? Who? You think it's one thing, but it's actually another thing. So I want you to take this time. I want you to go through this workbook. think about the person or persons that you need to forgive, even if that person is you. Really unpack it, really unfold it, and I think once you have the foundation there, the rest of the steps will be a lot smoother to go through. And when I say smoother, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be smoother because you will have that identification of who you need to forgive. So, all right now, so I want you to go into that workbook. I want you to go into whether it's that prayer closet, whether it's that den, whether it's your bathroom, you're trying to get away from your kids and your husband, whatever it is and wherever it is you need to go. Actually take out that book, write down who you need to forgive, gain some clarity, and know that you are doing you're doing it. You're doing the work now, okay? So be excited, be happy. It's gonna get uncomfortable, but I promise you, you will understand why we started with this step as we go throughout the lessons. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again in lesson 2.